hand touches a patchwork quilt. In addition to the traditional squares, the quilt has hand-shaped pieces. Figure 8. One diversity marketing is an adaptation strategy in which companies tailor their marketing mix, price, product, place, and promotion to meet the preferences of targeted populations. Credit, Modification of Work, Diversity Quilt by Oregon DOT/Flickr, CC by 20. Chapter Outline 8.1 Strategic Marketing, Standardization versus Adaptation. 8.2 Diversity and Inclusion Marketing. 8.3 Multicultural Marketing. 8.4 Marketing to Hispanic, Black, and Asian consumers. 8.5 Marketing to socio-demographic groups. 8.6 Ethical Issues in Diversity Marketing. Multinational consumer goods corporation Procter & Gamble is a good example of a company that understands the significance and impact of marketing in a diverse marketplace. P&G has a long history of reaching out to consumers from different sociocultural communities. In 1961, the company became one of the first major manufacturers in the United States to air a TV commercial in Spanish aimed at Hispanic consumers on a Spanish-language channel, later known as Univision. 1. After the Civil Rights Act was signed in 1964 and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, was formed in 1965, P&G proactively launched its own affirmative action plans across all its business units. P&G instituted the changes even before the EEOC was fully functional. That same year, P&G also conducted product research with Hispanic consumers in Miami, focusing on the scent used in its secret deodorant line. This commitment to diversity in business practices has remained strong through the years. P&G continues to demonstrate how to embrace diversity marketing, not just through actions, but through core beliefs and values. The company debuted its Widen the Screen campaign in 2021 during the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, Image Awards. The commercial has several short episodes developed by a team of Black creators. Its message is intended to challenge stereotypes and negative attitudes toward the Black community. In a special TV interview, influencer and daytime TV celebrity Oprah Winfrey strongly praised the campaign's creative opportunities, since Black creators account for only 6% of all films made. 2. These types of initiatives are evidence that P&G remains steadfast in its support of cultural and societal values, as well as expanding marketing's horizons to be more inclusive. Diversity in marketing is often short-sightedly thought of as simply featuring people, objects, or situations linked to various cultural or socio-demographic groups in marketing efforts. These are important components, but diversity marketing goes much deeper than that. In a 2021 keynote presentation about advancing diversity in advertising and business, P&G Chief Brand Officer Mark Pritchard emphasized that the company's commitment to consumers extends to race, ethnicity, and gender representation equal to the American population. 3. Pritchard added that true and complete inclusion calls for having equitable representation throughout the entire business, including up and down the company's supply chain. This means that even subcontracted agencies, production crews, and media companies that P&G works with reflect the market's diverse demographics. P&G is a diversity marketing champion because it believes in the accurate representation of all people in advertising and communications, regardless of cultural or social group, to build a better society. P&G's value-creating strategies and purposeful actions embody the concepts of this chapter. Marketing in a diverse marketplace is about understanding why and how to meet consumers' diversity-based needs, while achieving corporate objectives and driving business sustainability at the same time. P&G's campaign, Widen the Screen, invites viewers to widen their perspectives and appreciate the full picture of Black people's lives through a series of diverse, everyday situations. Learning outcomes. By the end of this section, you will be able to 1. Define marketing standardization. 2. Define marketing adaptation. 3. Explain when to use diversity marketing as an adaptation strategy. Standardization strategy defined. To meet the marketplace's demands, companies must carefully formulate competitive strategies based on internal and external conditions. These strategies must balance the capabilities of the organization's business activities, such as marketing, sales, operations, customer service, finance, and human resources management, with multiple environmental factors in the market. Among these are competition, globalization, technology, culture, and changes in consumer demographics and behavior. Companies can choose between two types of strategic approaches, standardization or adaptation, depending on these internal and external variables. Standardization is the process of purposefully applying identical or consistent guidelines to achieve uniformity. It is not limited to goods and services. Ideas, experiences, data, manufacturing processes, metrics, and operating practices within a business can also be standardized. A standardized strategy is expressed through the sameness of an offering's features, packaging, pricing, messaging, or advertising to consumers in the marketplace. Companies adopt this strategy for several reasons. These include increasing sales, reducing costs, maximizing efficiencies, improving competitiveness, and gaining a larger customer base. Think about Apple products. The company standardizes its iPhone, iPad, and Mac computers worldwide. Anywhere you go, Apple devices look and work the same. Only the device's power source is changed because of power voltage differences in different parts of the world. Standardization allows Apple to streamline production, speed up market launches, and increase device recognition around the globe. Adaptation strategy defined. Adaptation is the process of adjusting a company's work efforts, goods, or services in response to specific needs, tastes, or expectations from different groups of consumers. An adaptation strategy typically involves two steps. The first is identifying the modifications required to increase an offering's appeal among a targeted audience. The second is implementing the changes based on the organization's abilities and resources. Both of these tasks are crucial to determine the strategy's viability. Why do companies consider modifying products when doing so generally entails additional costs? The reason is that adaptations are useful to create unique market offerings, generate interest, or provide a competitive differentiation. In other words, this strategy is advisable when the outcome of the change results in reduced risks to the business. Companies can also adapt an existing product, instead of creating a new one, to reduce costs associated with producing new goods. For example, Ford Motor Company adapts the D4 automobile platform for chassis design and engine configuration to its Ford and Lincoln models to save money and offer cars at competitive price points. Sometimes businesses need adaptation strategies because of market disruptions caused by socioeconomic issues, natural disasters, or health concerns like the COVID-19 pandemic. Zoom, the video conferencing company, was forced to adjust its practices at lightning speed to meet the unexpected demand uptick caused by the pandemic. In only 5 months, December 2019 to April 2020, Zoom's customer base grew from 10 million to 300 million users. Zoom's adaptation strategy included new data centers, extended partnerships, price and service changes, and platform updates to serve all types of customers. Diversity marketing as an adaptation strategy. In marketing, an adaptation strategy translates into tailoring the marketing mix, product, price, place, and promotion to suit the preferences of targeted populations. Adaptation strategies are often associated with entering a foreign country. McDonald's is a good example of a company that adapts its marketing mix to be locally relevant to diverse global consumers. McDonald's introduced the McVeggie and the McAloo in India. See Figure 8.2. The Bai Shrimp Filet-O and the Bai Teriyaki Chicken Filet-O in Japan, poutine fries in Canada, the Picanha Clubhouse Burger in Brazil, and the Bubblegum Squash McFlurry in New Zealand. Besides adjusting the menu product, McDonald's also aligns advertisements, promotion, and services with local expectations, price, and place, while delivering a consistent customer experience from one country to another. A McAloo Tiki Burger and French fries are on a serving tray next to a receipt. Figure 8. 2 McDonald's McAloo Tiki Burger in India is an example of how one company adjusted its marketing mix to meet local preferences. Credit McAloo Tiki by IGB, CC by 20. This strategy is not limited to marketing in different parts of the globe. Companies can adjust any element of the marketing mix when expanding their market share within a region or a single country. This decision, however, should not be taken lightly. Adapting marketing efforts can be costly, time-consuming, and disruptive to the business. Plus, unexpected changes in a product's message can be confusing to existing customers. Marketing adaptation is clearly an option to grow the marketplace. When this strategy is based on a population's cultural or demographic differences, it is diversity marketing. Here is a good example from Nike. The Nike by You, see Figure 8.3, shoe designing service enables the company to expand its appeal to different population segments. By allowing consumers to change the footwear's colors and materials, Nike delivers products adapted to audiences, ethnic, and social preferences. 5. A close-up of a foot wearing blue leather Nike high tops. Figure 8.3. The Nike by You shoe campaign is a shoe customization product that lets consumers design their shoes to meet their individual preferences. Credit: SSL 10007 by Cagbay/Flickr, CC by 20. Link to learning. Nike and diversity. To prepare for a marketing career, learning from companies that are known for their diversity campaigns will help you with your future campaigns. According to eMarketer data, Nike is a company with one of the highest levels of diversity in its advertising. Here are a few examples supporting information about Nike's diversity and inclusion campaigns. Emmy-winning You Can't Stop Us, You Can't Be Stopped campaign. Nike Unlimited You commercial. Nike by You. Nike Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategy. There are other companies that are also known for their diversity and inclusion strategies. Read about some of them in this HubSpot article. Diversity marketing is an effective response to consumers' cultural or demographic diversity in a market. Why is it an adaptation strategy? Because diversity marketing involves changing a product or service to match the needs, wants, and demands of a population subgroup of consumers. Knowledge check. It's time to check your knowledge on the concepts presented in this section. Refer to the answer key at the end of the book for feedback. 1. Choosing between standardization and adaptation strategies includes balancing internal capabilities, like operations, with external forces, like competition, assessing only external forces, like technology and consumer demographic changes, adjusting only a company's resources, assets, and conditions to the market, assessing and reducing the company's consumer base to be more effective. 2. Which of the following is not a reason to implement a standardized marketing strategy? To increase sales and reduce costs, to maximize a company's manufacturing or production efficiencies, to improve competitiveness and increase customer base, to increase flexibility with constrained standards. 3. A marketing adaptation strategy involves adjusting a company's efforts and the marketing mix to increase appeal, responding to targeted consumers' specific needs, tastes, or expectations, implementing company changes based on organizational abilities and resources. All of these statements are correct. 4 adaptations are useful for all the following except creating a unique market product, generating interest for a service, reducing production costs, providing a competitive differentiation. 5. An adaptation strategy to expand into culturally or demographically diverse markets can benefit a company by reducing business disruptions, increasing the customer base, speeding up the execution time, shifting the marketing focus solely to the company. Learning outcomes. By the end of this section, you will be able to 1. Define diversity marketing, multicultural marketing, and socio-demographic marketing. 2. Explain why diversity marketing is needed in today's marketplace. 3. Explain the importance of diversity in market research. 4. List the factors that impact diversity marketing. Diversity marketing defined. As you read in the previous section, diversity marketing is a strategic approach that involves identifying diverse subsegments of the population within a market and creating intentional marketing efforts to reach wider audiences. This last piece is key. It has an element of inclusion because it purposefully incorporates identity-specific consumers that have been overlooked or pushed to the margins of society, such as some ethnic minorities, people with disabilities, elderly adults, low-income persons, and other groups. marginalized consumers are often excluded in mainstream advertising, translating into missed business opportunities. Diversity marketing is a strategy for marketers to include them. Diversity marketing is more than just an awareness of minority identities, underrepresented communities, or racial distinctions. It is about being culturally responsive, meaning having an actionable understanding of diverse consumers' interests and preferences based on shared cultural and socio-demographic characteristics. Consider the 5 key parameters most often used to describe diversity: cultural, racial, and ethnic, gender and sexual identity, generational, religion, and disability. 6 culture, race, and ethnicity are part of the cultural aspect, while the others are part of the socio-demographic aspect. Because of the broad scope of diversity marketing, as seen in Figure 8. 4. This strategy can help marketers reach larger market audiences. Diversity marketing can also influence consumers' mindsets and generate positive attention. Diversity marketing dimensions are divided into 2 categories: culture and demographics. Included in culture are race, ethnicity, nationality, language, subculture, acculturation, traditions, celebrations, beliefs, values, attitudes, and relationships. Included within demographics are age, gender, sexual orientation, marital status, education, occupation, income, socioeconomic status, religion, spiritual views, lifestyle, health, body type, and mental health. Figure 8. 4 diversity marketing dimensions. Attribution. Copyright Rice University, OpenStax, under CC BY 40 license. Importance of diversity marketing. The idea of marketing driven by consumer diversity is very relevant and meaningful, because today's marketplace is changing dramatically. This evolution is happening not only in the United States, but also around the globe. For marketers, this means that generalizing buyers, households, or communities anywhere in the world is a short-sighted perspective, because it limits business growth and commercial possibilities. Plus, oversimplifying population segments can also adversely affect a company's reputation by shifting the public's opinion in a negative way. The consequences can hurt sales, lead to missed opportunities, and undermine competitive status. This makes it essential to align markets and diversity marketing goals. Even though one-size-fits-all consumers type of tactics worked in past decades, that is no longer the case. Failure to recognize diversity marketing as an essential component of any marketing plan in these changing times is definitely a business blunder. In a study conducted by Adobe in 2019 among 2,000+ consumers, results showed that 61% of participants believed that diversity in marketing campaigns was important, and at least 38% were also said to be more inclined to trust brands that showed good diversity in advertisements. 7. Inclusion and diversity marketing are vital to a company's success in any market. What it means to businesses. Leading the marketing strategy with a diversity-driven intention can increase customer satisfaction and build stronger brand loyalty. Top design firms surveyed hundreds of consumers in late 2020 and found that 67% would consider making repeat purchases from companies committed to diversity in marketing campaigns. 8. Another report confirmed that these observations are not restricted to specific populations. Market analysis by Heat Agency found that high diversity scores for brands translated into a whopping 83% higher preference by consumers. 9. Besides improving brand sentiment overall, studies show that companies that build emotional ties through diversity marketing programs generate more revenue, increase stock price performance, and enhance brand perceptions. 10. What it means to consumers. Diversity marketing is important on a personal level because of what it implies. Companies that prioritize this strategy clearly demonstrate a higher level of understanding, value, and respect for all individuals in society. The conscientious inclusion of racially, ethnically, culturally, and socially distinct groups in marketing efforts suggests a genuine desire to communicate and engage with everyone. Acknowledging consumers' differences and adopting tactics to meet each group's needs and preferences also validates individuals' importance in the market. From a consumer standpoint, the application of diversity and inclusion measures in a company's marketing practices shows a universal recognition and appreciation for people. Factors impacting diversity marketing. As shown in Figure 8.4, diversity marketing is based on a variety of cultural and socio-demographic consumer characteristics. Marketers have to be mindful of these distinctions, so marketing communication campaigns launched are sensitive to the audiences they are attempting to serve. After all, cultural and socio-demographic factors can greatly influence consumers' motivations, reactions, and decisions. Other related variables, such as behavioral and personal, can shape buyers' consumption levels and their receptiveness to marketing messages. Given the impact of these factors, for companies to be successful in any market, the focus of diversity marketing has to be customer-centric rather than company-centric. Being customer-centric is when a company targets customers first regarding any decisions about its goods, services, or experiences, while company-centric is when a company focuses decisions from the perspective of the organization. Building a proper sociocultural conscience in marketing starts with good research. Market research. Market research is essential for developing successful marketing strategies because it leads to consumer insights. It also identifies potential communication gaps. This means that diversity must be treated as a market research factor to learn about multidimensional audiences. Leveraging consumer diversity in the research process has several benefits. For instance, it provides the information needed to better understand people's cultural or social differences. This is useful for companies to avoid wrong assumptions and avert public mishaps. To do good research, marketers do not have to belong to or identify with a specific consumer group. However, understanding how ethnic and sociocultural differences impact buyers' decisions and actions requires diversity marketing intelligence, DMIQ. Diversity marketing intelligence refers to the capability of identifying, accepting, and valuing the diversity of consumers within a market, and using this knowledge to tailor the marketing mix accordingly. In early 2018, Tarte Cosmetics introduced to the market its highly anticipated Shape Tape Foundation. The launch featured 15 shades of makeup, almost all light tones. However, the product was not well received. Loyal customers were furious because of the lack of shades for people with darker skin. Tarte Cosmetics was accused of being a whitewashed brand and even making deeper skin tone people feel inadequate. 11. The company quickly apologized for alienating customers and changed its product and marketing communication. Link to learning. Fenty Beauty. Rihanna did more than just lend her name to the brand Fenty Beauty. She also developed products that increased diversity in the beauty business with its 40-shade foundation range and a wide range of sizes, making $100 million in sales the first 40 days. The company has been criticized for use of child labor by some of its suppliers and has made what its founder described as careless choices during a fashion show. But it remains known for continuing to reflect a more inclusive approach to beauty and clothing products. Read more about Fenty Beauty from this Latana article or this article from Newsweek. When diversity marketing efforts fall short, as the Tarte Cosmetics case shows, it is often the result of racially or socially charged insensitivities and missteps. The outcome can have costly repercussions for companies. In 2017, PepsiCo, see Figure 8.5, received heavy backlash for its Live for Now Moments anthem campaign featuring Kendall Jenner. The commercial was criticized for trivializing the Black Lives Matter (BLM) movement and undermining protesters' real-life hardships in pursuit of peace and justice. 12. It was described as insensitive and offensive. Link to learning. Live for Now Moments anthem. Evaluating successful campaigns and failures is important in the learning process. Find as many opportunities as you can to learn from failures. Start by watching Live for Now Moments for an example of a campaign that failed because it was offensive and missed the mark. PepsiCo defended its position as not intending to be socially disrespectful. However, PepsiCo withdrew the commercial, estimated to have cost $5 million to produce, and widely apologized to the market and to Jenner. 13. A final lesson here is that when diversity marketing efforts are done correctly, as Fenty Beauty did, it can boost brand awareness, consumer engagement, and sales. 4 packs of Pepsi in glass bottles are lined up in a row. The Pepsi logo is on both the bottle and the cardboard packaging. Figure 8. 5. The PepsiCo commercial, Live for Now Moments anthem, was an expensive lesson for the company, a failed campaign that was criticized for making light of a culture's real-life hardships. Credit, Pepsi by Mike Mozart, Jeepers Media/Flickr, CC by 20. Race and ethnicity. 2 out of every 5 individuals in the United States, over 40% of the population, identify racially or ethnically as other than non-Hispanic white. 14 researchers expect this trend to keep growing in the coming decades, and as consumer diversity increases, cultural identification becomes even more important. Race, ethnicity, and culture give meaning to one another. This makes it critical for marketers to pay attention to how multiracial or multi-ethnic consumers identify culturally. Having a multicultural identity means that a person has been exposed to various cultures and self-identifies as being part of more than one racial or ethnic community or various social groups. 15. We will focus on 4 key multicultural identity segments of the American population: Hispanic, Black, Asian, and Native American Alaska Native. Being multicultural can take many forms. Multicultural individuals may speak multiple languages or have different sets of friends in each culture. From a marketing perspective, multicultural consumers may have different responses to brands or products depending on their multicultural affiliation. 16. Why is this significant? Because marketers must consider the effects of multiculturalism on the marketplace when developing the marketing mix. Race and ethnicity are clearly linked to diversity marketing. Modelo Especial is a good example. Modelo Especial is a Mexican beer that has successfully capitalized on its heritage to target the Hispanic population while also appealing to the general market. Marketed by Constellation Brands, the beer has had strong sales in the United States since the 1990s. 17. In 2019, Hispanic consumers captured close to 70% of the brand's national sales, but Hispanic people are only about half of the customer base. 18. Over the course of several decades, various aspects of Hispanic culture have been widely embraced in the United States. Have you heard of artists like Jennifer Lopez, Pitbull, Bad Bunny, and J Balvin? The marketing team at Constellations Brands attributes the brand's mainstream appeal not only to connecting well with Hispanic consumers, but also to the openness of millennial and Gen Z consumers to different cultures and lifestyles. Sociodemographics. In marketing, sociodemographics describes the combination of social and demographic factors that characterize specific consumer groups in the market. These factors are mostly quantifiable, meaning they can be measured or verified to a certain extent. Though race and ethnicity are cultural factors, sometimes they are included in market research as sociodemographic parameters. This is done to increase the generalization of consumer findings and to uncover potential areas of concern linked to social issues. 19. Sociodemographic variables typically consist of gender and sexual orientation, age or generation, family structure, religion, education level, and income. The latter two are also frequently associated with socioeconomic status. Disability is another variable that can be treated as a demographic factor. Figure 8. 4 offers a more comprehensive list of diversity marketing's sociodemographic factors. Just like with multicultural consumers, segmenting buyers based on shared sociodemographic factors allows companies to tailor goods or services to match the needs and preferences of this diverse group. This enables marketers to develop the right marketing mix, as well as create effective advertising content to influence distinct consumers. Here is how Disney uses family structure as a sociodemographic factor to segment and target social media users. Disney on Ice is a music and skating show that brings the magic of Disney to ice rinks around the country. People with small children are more likely to consider family entertainment activities, so Disney on Ice targets these consumers on Facebook with tailored family-oriented ads. Multicultural marketing defined. Multicultural marketing is a strategic approach to intentionally target audiences based on different racial, ethnic, and cultural identities and backgrounds. It focuses on relevant, value-rich, and culturally authentic communication tailored to multicultural consumers. You are probably asking, is multicultural marketing the same thing as diversity marketing? After all, both are often used interchangeably. The answer is no, they are not the same thing. Diversity marketing is an inclusive approach that results in reaching a wider portion of the entire market. Multicultural marketing is a subcategory of diversity marketing that is aimed at multicultural individuals. Multicultural populations, racial and ethnic diversity, continue to grow every day around the world. In the United States, in particular, demographers predict a minority population shift by the mid-2040s, as Figure 8.6 shows. In other words, the bulk of American consumers will identify as multicultural, meaning racially and ethnically diverse people of color. This projection has enormous marketing implications for companies and nonprofit organizations. As the marketplace becomes even more racially and ethnically diverse, marketing efforts must be aligned to the needs and expectations of multicultural groups to be effective. Let's take a closer look at these key multicultural segments of the American population. The Hispanic population is the largest multicultural group in the nation and makes up about 19% of the total population. According to data-driven marketing company Claritas, the Hispanic population is one of the fastest-growing groups, with over 63 million individuals, and is also responsible for 59% of the country's population growth between 2010 and 2021. 20+ by 2026, business strategists believe that nearly 2 out of every 3 consumers in the United States will belong to this ethnic group. 21, with a median age of 29, this group also has the youngest population in the country. The Black population is also a growing segment with 46.9 million individuals, or 14.2% of the total population, according to the 2020 U.S. Census. This group is made up of 3 different subethnicities: individuals who identify as Black alone, single race, or as Black Hispanic, or as Black with another race such as white or Native American, multiracial. The Black population in general has the second youngest median age. In fact, almost 60% of this group were millennials or younger, under the age of 38, in 2019, based on findings from the American Community Survey. 22. The Asian population accounts for 72% of the American population, with 24 million individuals from combined subethnicities, as reported by the 2020 census. Like Black people, Asian people also self-classify as either single race, Asian Hispanic, or multiracial individuals. Communities often included as part of the Asian multiracial composition are Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. Asians, 3 classifications, combined experience the fastest population growth of all multicultural segments in the nation between 2000 and 2019. 23. The Asian population has a median age of 34 and is expected to reach around 35 million individuals by 2040. 24. The Native American Alaska Native population represents 1% of the population in the United States, with 3.7 million individuals identifying as single-race Native people. During the 2020 census, these Native groups were combined with other races and ethnicities, boosting the number to 9.7 million people, or about 29% of the total population. 25. A bar graph shows the projected population by race between 2016-2060. The trend shows the white, non-Hispanic population decreasing during this time, with Hispanics increasing the most during this time. The populations of the Asian and Black races grow only modestly during this time. In 2016, 60% of the population is white, about 16% of the population is Black, about 4% of the population is Asian, and 19% of the population is Hispanic. By 2060, 42% of the population is white, about 18% of the population is Black, about 5% of the population is Asian, and about 34% of the population is Hispanic. Figure 8.6 U.S. population projections from 2016 to 2060 by race and ethnicity. Data source: U.S. Census Bureau. Attribution: Copyright Rice University, OpenStax, under CC by 4. Zero license. Sociodemographic marketing defined. Sociodemographic marketing is a strategic approach to intentionally target audiences based on shared social and demographic characteristics. Sounds familiar? Like multicultural marketing, sociodemographic marketing also focuses on relevant and authentic communications with consumers. Both strategies help business and organizations align their products and services with audiences' needs, preferences, and expectations. In a 2019 study, nearly 3,000 consumers were asked to consider ads with sociodemographic attributes like gender identity, sexual orientation, age, socioeconomic status, and physical ability. Results showed 64% of consumers taking some sort of action after seeing an ad with sociodemographic diversity. 26. You might be wondering, is sociodemographic marketing the same thing as diversity marketing then? The answer is no. Again, as with multicultural marketing, sociodemographic marketing includes underrepresented and overlooked consumers in a large population. Sociodemographic marketing is another subcategory of diversity marketing. Sociodemographic populations. While all sociodemographic consumer groups are important, the following are essential segments of sociodemographic marketing. LGBTQIA+ population. LGBTQIA+ stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer questioning, intersex, asexual, and other sexual identities. About 5.6% of American adults, roughly 14.4 million individuals, identify as LGBTQIA+, according to a 2020 survey. 27. In general, LGBTQIA+ consumers spend more at retail stores than other groups and have a higher percentage of online purchases compared to non-LGBTQIA+ households. Not only is this segment part of diversity marketing, but the LGBTQIA+ community is very diverse too. Generational population. Consumers are grouped into age clusters based on birth year. These populations include 21.7 million traditionalist or silent generation, born between 1928 and 1945, 76 million baby boomers, born between 1946 and 1964, 65 million Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980, 72 million Generation Y or millennials, born between 1981 and 1996, 67 million Generation Z or Zoomers, born between 1997 and 2009, and 27.6 million Generation Alpha, born between 2010 and 2025, according to 2020 U.S. Census data. 28. Every generation is unique and has different historical references, challenges, interests, and technological experiences that impact these consumers' preferences and appeals. Socioeconomically disadvantaged population. These individuals tend to come from low-income households, experience financial insecurity, and have less access to education. In the United States, the estimated number of people living in poverty was over 34 million individuals in 2019. 29. The majority of disadvantaged consumers are located either in poor rural areas or inner-city communities that lack social resources and infrastructure to reduce poverty. 30. Marketers must be careful targeting these consumers to avoid negative repercussions from the market. Consumers with disabilities. This group represents an estimated 61 million Americans. About 1 in 4 adults lives with some type of disability. 31. Disability is a classification derived from an impairment related to mobility, learning, intellectual, or other types of functions. This group is also considered very diverse because disabilities span cultural, social, and demographic factors. Consumers with disabilities have been traditionally underrepresented in marketing efforts, though studies show they are one of the largest sociodemographic market opportunities after baby boomers and other segments. 32. Careers in marketing. Multicultural marketing director. With the growing opportunities for multicultural marketing, demand is growing for multicultural marketing directors. If this job opportunity interests you, do your research on what type of skills are desired by hiring managers. To get you started, read this article about the 7 must-have qualities in a multicultural marketing director. You can also learn directly from marketing executives in this article about how marketers can foster diverse cultures and who is getting hired and promoted in this area. The best way to learn is to follow others doing the work. Expand your network to include diverse and inclusive leaders. Start by checking out this list of 59 female marketing and growth influencers. As you're building a portfolio of skills for the job market, remember to continue to develop your soft skills. Why, you might ask? Read this article, 7 Soft Skills You Need to Achieve Career Growth. Knowledge check. It's time to check your knowledge on the concepts presented in this section. Refer to the answer key at the end of the book for feedback. 1. Diversity marketing is a strategic approach that includes identifying different subsegments of consumers, creating advertisements to connect with specific consumers that share cultural and socio-demographic characteristics. All of these statements are true. 2. Which of the following is true regarding why diversity marketing is important? Today's marketplace is changing dramatically everywhere. Buyers, households, and communities are staying the same. Consumers don't believe that diversity in advertising is important. Diversity marketing has no impact on brand loyalty. 3. For companies to be successful in any market, the focus of diversity marketing should be company-centric, brand-centric, consumer-centric, industry-centric. 4. Diversity in market research is a good idea because it can help companies win over people from different population segments, provide information to better understand cultural and social differences, reduce wrong assumptions, and avert public relations missteps. All of these statements are true. 5. Which is not an example of a diversity marketing consumer segment? Multicultural segments like Hispanic, Black, and Asian people. Socio-demographic segments like tech-savvy and digital natives. Multicultural segments like American Indian and Alaskan Native people. Socio-demographic segments like Gen Xers, Zoomers, and consumers with disabilities. Learning outcomes. By the end of this section, you will be able to 1. Define culture. 2. Explain the difference between tangible and intangible cultural objectives. 3. List the main elements through which culture is expressed. 4. Describe Hofstede's cultural dimensions. What is culture? You have already read about corporate culture in marketing and customer value and cultural factors influencing buying behavior in consumer markets and purchasing behavior. Let's explore culture in more detail. After all, learning about culture is the first step to understand why the concept is a fundamental component of multicultural marketing and how it connects with diversity marketing. Culture refers to the social norms, beliefs, behaviors, and accomplishments that characterize a particular set of individuals. Culture also encompasses shared customs, arts, language, foods, and knowledge. In essence, it is a snapshot of a society's accepted way of living at a given place or time. Figure 8.7 provides a more extensive view of the things that represent it. As you can see, culture clearly influences many aspects of life. The term originates from the Latin word cultura, which is associated with nurturing, growing, and cultivating. 33. This explanation makes sense because some cultural aspects are taught or passed down from one generation to the next. Think of it as planting a seed, not a physical one, but a seed of inner values. Culture is also fostered through community socialization. The outcome of these shared learnings leads to the continued growth of a group's cultural identity and its idiosyncrasies. To be effective in an increasingly diverse marketplace, marketers need to recognize the profound role that culture plays in consumers' behaviors and purchasing decisions. That is why multicultural insights are so important to diversity marketing. Culture includes attitudes, beliefs, interpretations, assumptions, religion, faith, thoughts, opinions, values, skills, work, behavior, practices, shelter, language, clothing, customs, manners, habits, food, drinks, society, social norms, family, child-rearing. Relationships, artifacts, art, including literature, music, and visual creations. Government, law, holidays, celebrations, heritage, history, traditions, rituals, tools, and technology. Figure 8.7 What is culture? Attribution. Copyright Rice University, OpenStax, under CC by 40 license. Tangible versus intangible culture. Culture is both tangible and intangible. This means that it can be seen, but it can also be concealed. Anthropologist Edward T. Hall describes it as an iceberg with external and internal surfaces. 34 as figure 8. 8 depicts some elements of culture are readily visible, like the tip of the iceberg. Traditions, music, languages, artifacts, clothing, and literature are just a few aspects that are easy to recognize. They are tangible and external. In other words, they are the conscious part of culture. Other aspects of culture are like the bottom part of the iceberg. Did you know that 90% of an iceberg's mass is hidden below the waterline? Thought processes, assumptions, skills, beliefs, and interpretations are more difficult to observe. Can you see a person's thoughts? Can you understand a person's worldviews without asking? These things happen out of sight, making them the subconscious part of culture. Intangible and internal aspects are just like the larger portion of the iceberg, in the sense that they are often beneath the surface. The aspects of culture are represented by an iceberg. Food, traditions, music, language, artifacts, art, clothing, and behaviors are the 10% of culture that is tangible and external. Attitudes, assumptions, skills, beliefs, interpretations, core values, worldviews, perceptions, and thought processes are the 90% of culture that is intangible and internal. Figure 8. 8. The cultural iceberg, attribution. Copyright Rice University, OpenStax, under CC by 40 license. The iceberg analogy gives us a valuable lesson about cultural insights. Connecting with multicultural consumers requires understanding not only those elements of culture that can be observed, but also those that are deep-seated in a specific community. The Texican Whopper campaign from Burger King, see Figure 8-9, makes this point clear. Burger King was forced to revise the ads that featured a tiny Mexican wrestler dressed in a poncho-style Mexican flag standing next to a tall American cowboy. Some Spanish-speaking customers thought the campaign was funny. However, others were offended. Insights about the distaste for stereotypes and the high respect for the flag as a national symbol could have prevented this situation. It could have also saved Burger King money because the campaign had to be redone. An entrance to a Burger King restaurant. The words "Home of the Whopper" are below the Burger King logo and above the doorway. Figure 8. 9. Burger King's Texican Whopper campaign was a failure because the marketers lacked an understanding of the unseeable elements, or the internal and intangible aspects, of Mexican culture. Credit: Burger King by Mike Mozart, Jeepers Media/Flickr, CC by 20. Main expressions of culture. Culture is expressed through emotional experiences, symbols, linguistic communication, values and attitudes, and other practices. Cultural expressions are a vital part of a person's identity. They provide insights about what an individual believes in or why an individual behaves a certain way. How would you perceive somebody waving an American flag on a holiday like Memorial Day, 4th of July, or Veterans Day? You would probably think the person is patriotic, right? What about somebody with a colorful sugar skull face painting on Dia de los Muertos? Or how about someone with beautifully henna-decorated hands for Diwali? Visible manifestations of culture empower people to be comfortable with personal thoughts and feelings. Visible symbols also help people to be accepted in a given community by showing solidarity. Symbols. Symbols are essential expressions of culture that represent a group's ideologies, values, and actions. They include things such as objects, ceremonial artifacts, designs, colors, and ideas. Printed characters, words, signs, and logos can be symbols too. Even punctuation marks or emoticons symbolize facial expressions or people's feelings. Marketers must be careful when using symbols because they can have different representations or meanings among different cultures. For instance, the emoticon symbolizes happiness in the United States. However, in Japan, the emoticon for happiness looks more like this, or has a triangle-shaped mouth instead of a parenthesis. 35. In the United States, the rainbow flag and its variations are symbols of the LGBTQIA+ community. Yet, for people who emigrated from Peru or have family in the Andes, the rainbow flag symbolizes the reign of the Inca Empire. 36, as you can see in Figure 8. 10. Both flags are alike, but not identical. The Andean rainbow flag has 2 blue stripes. Despite the similarities, the rainbow flag as a symbol has different meanings to both groups. the LGBTQIA+ flag and the Inca Empire flag. Both flags are horizontal stripes with the colors of the rainbow in rainbow order. The LGBTQIA+ flag has 6 stripes: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, while the Inca Empire flag has 7 stripes: red, orange, yellow, green, light blue, dark blue, and purple. Figure 8. 10 marketers need to be aware of what symbols mean to different groups so that they can be sure the messages they share are interpreted as intended. Credit: Rainbow Flag by Dave/Flickr, CC by 20. Cusco Peru by Paulo Gureta/Flickr, CC by 20. Language. Like symbols, language is an important part of culture. Language communicates personal identity. It also shapes how people perceive the world around them. Have you heard of 9 Lives? It is a popular brand of cat food in the United States owned by the J.M. Smucker Company. The brand's name comes from the popular expression that cats have 9 lives. However, did you know that in Spanish and Portuguese, the expression is that cats only have 7 lives? For these multicultural consumers, such language differences can influence their perceptions of the product. Language takes verbal and nonverbal forms. It can be spoken, signed, or written. In fact, there were 7,139 living languages reported around the world in 2021, with 23 of them in particular adding up to a combined number of speakers totaling over half the globe's population. 37, the top 15 languages in Figure 8. 11 are based on the number of native and second language speakers in the world. Language is a main expression of culture because it provides insights to connect with audiences. A bar graph shows the most spoken languages worldwide in 2022. Information conveyed in the graph is English, 1.5 billion speakers; Chinese, Mandarin, 1 billion speakers; Hindi, 602 million speakers; Spanish, 548 million speakers; French, 274 1 million speakers; Arabic Standard, 274 million speakers; Bengali, 2 million speakers; Russian, 258 2 million speakers; Portuguese, 257 7 million speakers; Urdu, 231 3 million speakers; Indonesian, 199 million speakers; German Standard, 134 6 million speakers; Japanese, 125 4 million speakers; Nigerian Pidgin, 120 7 million speakers; and Marathi 99 1 million speakers. Figure 8. 11 the languages most spoken around the world. Data source: Ethnologue 2022. Attribution: Copyright Rice University, OpenStax, under CC by 40 license. As you have read, consumer diversity in the marketplace is growing. That is why it is imperative for marketers to conduct language research with targeted populations to avoid miscommunication or lost opportunities. This means that even within cultural groups, there are speech regionalisms and slang terms that can affect the success of marketing campaigns. 38. The Hispanic population has multiple subethnicities that prove this point. Let's say that an automotive tire company wants to market its product to Hispanic consumers throughout the United States. The company could create several ad variations using words for tire that are popular among the subgroups. It could use the word Gomez for Puerto Rican consumers in New York, Lantaz for Mexican buyers in Texas, Pneumaticos for Chilean clients in California, or Rutas for Cuban shoppers in Florida. The challenge for the company would be to decide if the effort and expense associated with creating multiple ads are justified. It should also consider if the words have other meanings among the subgroups. For example, for Puerto Ricans, rutas are thin wheels, not something associated with car tires. Values and attitudes. Values are cultural indicators of a society's standards for goodness and justice. They are described as basic beliefs that guide behavior and give meaning to actions and attitudes. Dutch social psychologist and diversity thinker Geert Hofstede created a survey to uncover how national culture reflects a society's values. 39 Hofstede summarized the survey's findings into the following dimensions: individualism versus collectivism. Culture is classified as either individualistic or collectivistic. In the United States, non-Hispanic white people and individuals of European descent tend to have an individualistic view. Individualism places a higher value on personal accomplishments and individual experiences. Hispanic, Black, and Asian people lean toward a collectivistic view. 40 collectivism values achieving group or family goals above those of individuals. The level of individualism versus collectivism, however, varies within multicultural segments, so it is important not to make assumptions. High versus low power distance. In addition to their basic function, products can also serve to display an individual's power or position in society. Think about flip phones and smartphones. Cost-wise, the traditional flip phones are a lot less expensive in general. Yet, smartphone ownership is on the rise. This is due not only to the additional capabilities of smartphones, but also to the fact that their ownership is seen as a symbol of social status. Hispanic and Black people also use smartphones more than other groups for online access to health information and educational content. 41. Masculinity versus femininity. Gender can strongly impact the creative concept and messaging behind marketing promotions, ads, and social media. American society in general is masculine-oriented, with Black men having a stronger view of masculinity than non-Hispanic white and Hispanic counterparts. 42. Achievement, power, and strength are considered masculine traits. For this reason, the message of many ads in the United States is about product performance and functionality. Some Asian groups, such as Japanese and Chinese, are also masculine-oriented. However, other Asian subgroups are considered more feminine-oriented. 43. For these consumers, visual ads that emphasize quality of life, people, and relationships would have a higher appeal. Uncertainty avoidance. A high dislike for ambiguity and the unknown is not just an individual trait, it is a characteristic of societies in general. Cultures that do not tolerate uncertainty well seek safety and rules to reduce anxiety. These cultures also embrace technology to feel safer, which might explain why Hispanic people are such quick adopters of it. Black and Asian people also tend to avoid uncertainty and high risks more than non-Hispanic white people. 44. Long-term versus short-term orientation. This dimension describes how individuals believe and behave in society. It is also based on links to the past and challenges in the future. Cultures with long-term orientation value perseverance, orderliness, thriftiness, and having a sense of shame. Asian people overall rate extremely high in the long-term orientation. 45. Short-term cultures, on the other hand, focus more on personal steadiness, happiness, and stability. The challenge for marketers is to balance orientations to successfully reach diverse audiences and influence consumption. Indulgence versus restraint. Societies that prioritize satisfaction, leading a happy life, and savoring leisure activities with family and friends are described as indulgent. On the other hand, societies that favor living according to strict traditional norms and curbing life's enjoyment are seen as restrained. How culture influences diversity marketing. Identifying multicultural population segments and engaging them with intentional efforts is at the core of multicultural marketing. However, this requires having cultural insights because culture influences consumers' decision-making processes and purchasing behaviors. The lack of cultural insights can spell disaster when marketing to this audience. Let's look at some cultural perspectives about living experiences, outlook, and community involvement. Living in the present moment and sharing situations with loved ones is an important goal to 42% of Hispanic people in comparison to only 23% of non-Hispanic white people. 46. Based on this insight, marketers targeting Hispanic consumers should create advertisements that feature meaningful messages and friendly people sharing a profound experience, instead of simply showing the features of a product or service. Hispanic, Black, and Asian consumers overall are more optimistic than non-Hispanic white consumers. In a study about their financial outlook, multicultural consumers were twice as optimistic as non-Hispanic white consumers about reaching economic success in their lifetime. As collectivistic-oriented cultures, they also think more about family and community when making financial decisions. Plus, when it comes to community, Hispanic and Black consumers believe more can be achieved by working together than non-Hispanic white consumers. 47. These insights suggest that expressions of culture and elements like confidence, hope, and teamwork are crucial for implementing multicultural marketing campaigns. As you read earlier, multicultural marketing is a subcategory of diversity marketing. This means that culture has a significant impact on diversity marketing as well. Knowledge check. It's time to check your knowledge on the concepts presented in this section. Refer to the answer key at the end of the book for feedback. One culture is described as which of the following: social norms, beliefs, and accomplishments of particular individuals, elements taught or passed down from one generation to the next, something that influences consumers' decision-making processes and purchasing behaviors. All of these. 2. Which of the following are not examples of tangible or external expressions of culture? Actions and behaviors, traditions and customs, values and attitudes, music and visual arts. 3. Marketers must be careful when using symbols as cultural expressions because there are too many to choose from among different cultures. They can have different meanings among different cultures. They can have similar meanings among different cultures. They are verbal and nonverbal forms of communication. 4. An advertisement that appeals to personal accomplishments, independence, and assertiveness is an example of which of Hofstede's cultural dimensions? High power distance, masculinity, individualism, long-term orientation. 5. An advertisement that is visually appealing and emphasizes quality of life, people, and relationships is an example of which of Hofstede's cultural dimensions? Femininity, masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, short-term orientation, learning outcomes. By the end of this section, you will be able to 1. Describe the Hispanic, Black, and Asian identities. 2. Define acculturation. 3. Explain how identity-related characteristics and factors connect Hispanic, Black, and Asian consumers. 4. Describe how to market to Hispanic, Black, and Asian consumers. Hispanic, Black, and Asian consumer identities. The United States is a mixture of nationalities, backgrounds, cultures, and identities. This mixture has been shaped through many decades of immigration from people across many lands and by their interactions with their new environments. The U.S. population is often referred to as consisting of majority and minority groups. The majority consists of non-Hispanic white people. The minority consists of other races, ethnicities, and communities. From a marketing standpoint, companies have historically treated the majority segment as the mainstream market. Conversely, the minority segment has been treated as a subgroup of consumers or the multicultural market. As you read earlier in the chapter, the demographics of the United States continue to change, and the majority segment will cease to exist in the future. The country is expected to become a plurality nation by 2050. This means that no group will have a sizable majority. The non-Hispanic white population is projected to remain the largest single group. 48, however, the majority position will be lost in terms of population percentage. Check out Figure 8. 6 again to compare the overarching segments. Hispanic identity. Let's examine the data from the 2020 U.S. Census to better understand Hispanic consumers. The Hispanic population reached over 63 million people in 2020. Is this number significant? Yes, because it means that 1 out of every 5 people in the United States is Hispanic or of Hispanic descent. This is a 23% growth since the previous census. In fact, the Hispanic population has grown significantly in the last 4 decades. The Hispanic population is projected to reach almost 100 million individuals by 2050. Hispanic people are not a uniform group or single ethnicity. On the contrary, the Hispanic population in the United States is very diverse. Hispanic people originate from 20 different countries, as shown in Figure 8. 12 and can belong to any race. An overwhelming 83% of the Hispanic population belongs to just 5 subethnicities. These subgroups are Mexican, 62.2%, Puerto Rican, 9.5%, Cuban, 3.9%, Salvadoran, 3.9%, and Dominican, 3.5%. 49. The rest of the population is made up of the other 15 Hispanic subethnicities. You are probably familiar with the terms Hispanic, Latino, Latina, and Latinx. They are often used interchangeably, but can have different meanings. Hispanic is a language-based term that describes individuals from a Spanish-speaking country. Latino/Latina is a location-based term that identifies gendered individuals whose families originate in Latin America regardless of the language they speak. For example, a person from Spain is considered Hispanic because of language, but not Latino because of location. A person from Brazil is considered Latino/Latina because of location, but not Hispanic because of language. Brazilians speak Portuguese. Unlike Latino/Latina, the term Latinx is gender neutral. While Latinx has picked up momentum among some groups, many Hispanic people dislike the word or find it offensive. A list of Hispanics and Latinos in the United States, based on country of origin. Hispanic includes people from Spain. Hispanic/Latino includes people from Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Puerto Rico, Uruguay, and Venezuela. Latino includes people from Belize, Brazil, French Guiana, Haiti, and Suriname. Figure 8. 12 Hispanic people and Latinos in the United States by country of origin, attribution. Copyright Rice University, OpenStax, under CC by 40 license. Many cultures integrate traditions in their lives as the generations progress. Hispanic people demonstrate this same movement of traditions, from their countries and cultures of origin into their family practices in the United States. Why is that? It has to do with identity. Identity is a person's self-image. Cultural identity, in particular, is how a person identifies with a given culture, ethnicity, or social group. It is a sense of belonging that influences personal thinking and actions. For the majority of Hispanic people, identity is strongly linked to heritage or to their family's country of origin. 50 customs and social practices are strong components as well. To increase its connection with these consumers, Target, see Figure 813, appealed to the Hispanic identity with its sobremesa commercial. The sobremesa is the additional time spent at the dinner table with friends and family after a big meal for relaxing or having meaningful conversations. This Hispanic tradition does not have a direct translation in terms of American culture. Target created the hashtag Sin Traducción for the campaign, which means, without translation, to further emphasize this. Target also used, "There will always be a part of you that simply doesn't translate," as the slogan for social media outreach. The commercial is part of the retailer's first campaign ever aimed directly at Hispanic millennials. A photo of a Target storefront. The large, red bullseye logo is visible on the building. Figure 8. 13 Target created the sobremesa commercial as a way to appeal to the Hispanic identity. Credit: Target by Mike Mozart, Jeepers Media/Flickr, CC by 2.0. Link to learning. Target sobremesa commercial. Target S sobremesa commercial shows an entire Hispanic family sitting at the table, clearly after the meal has ended, to share desserts and enjoy fun conversation as a group. Black identity. Black people are the second largest multicultural group in the United States after Hispanic people. Let's consider the statistics from the 2020 U.S. Census again. The Black population shows growth at 46.8 million people in 2020 versus 38.9 million people a decade earlier. Black consumers make up 14.2% of the country's total inhabitants. Another key point is that individuals who identify as Black in combination with another race have increased 88.7% since the last census. This in combination trend is not unique to the Black community. The in combination identification accounted for the majority of the changes in all the racial categories. 51. This multicultural segment shows a couple of other interesting changes that impact consumer and consumption behaviors. For example, Black consumers are forecasted to account for 15–17% of the total population growth in the nation over the next decade. Black people have also had the largest change in education level in recent years. Since the 2010 census, the percentage of Black people with an undergraduate degree has increased by more than 55%. 52. While Black people account for 14.2% of the population, this segment makes up just under 10% of spending on goods and services. This is because Black workers earn a lower median income than other demographics. However, this inequity in spending and wealth is showing signs of moving toward a better balance. The growing Black population is estimated by management consulting firm McKinsey to represent over $300 billion per year in unmet demand. 53. A 2019 survey by the Pew Research Center shows that nearly 75% of Black people believe that race is at the center of their identity. 54. Race is deeply tied to how people perceive themselves. When it comes to defining the Black identity further, the community is also facing a unique challenge. There is a growing argument in the United States over differences between Black people who emigrated from Africa and those who did not. The debate is caused by the ancestral link to slavery that many American-born Black people have, but immigrants do not. Plus, Black people can also have other subethnicities such as Black, Hispanic, and multiracial, white, Asian, or Native American. While the subethnicities may not be physically visible, marketers need to be aware that identity differences can be significant among the Black population. These multicultural consumers also feel relatively well connected to the broader Black community and prioritize social activities that offer support to the group as a whole. To show solidarity with the BLM movement, popular ice cream brand Ben & Jerry's, see Figure 8. 14 named one of its flavors Justice Remixed to raise awareness of racism and criminal justice reform. The company worked with the Advancement Project National Office to advocate for social change and civil rights. Ben & Jerry's also enacted a multi-point corporate plan challenging other companies to champion the cause and join the conversation about racial inequalities. A Ben & Jerry's storefront is between other stores. An awning has clouds and sky painted on it with the words peace, love, and ice cream. Figure 8. 14 Ben & Jerry's created a new flavor of ice cream as a way to connect with the Black Lives Matter movement and raise awareness around racism and criminal justice reform. Credit, Peace, Love, and Ice Cream by Rob Oliver /Flickr, CC by 20. Asian identity. The Asian population in the United States has also increased since the last census. This growth has been fueled largely by foreign-born individuals. There were 9 million people in 2020 who identified as single-race Asians. This number is up from 7 million a decade earlier. There were also 1 million people in 2020 who identified primarily as Asian in combination with another race. In fact, this combination of single-race and mixed race increased a whopping 55% from 2010 to 2020, making it one of the fastest-growing demographic segments. 55 overall, the Asian population in the United States is 24 million individuals, which is 7.2% of the total country's inhabitants. The U.S. Census Bureau projects this multicultural community to more than double by 2060. Like the Hispanic population, the Asian population is very diverse too. Figure 8. 15 shows the 22 different subethnicities that make up these multicultural consumers. Did you know that 6 of these origin groups account for 85% of the total Asian American community? These groups derive from the Asian continent and the Indian subcontinent. These origin groups are Chinese, 24%, Indian, 21%, Filipino, 19%, Vietnamese, 10%, Korean, 9%, and Japanese, 7%. 56. The remainder of the Asian people come from Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, and other subgroups. A list of the different subethnicities that make up the Asian origin group. They are Bangladeshi, Bhutanese, Burmese, Cambodian, Chinese with Taiwanese, Chinese without Taiwanese, Filipino, Hmong, Indian, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean, Laotian, Malaysian, Mongolian, Okinawan, Nepalese, Pakistani, Sri Lankan, Taiwanese, Thai, and Vietnamese. Figure 8. 15 groups of origin for the Asian population in the United States. Attribution. Copyright Rice University, OpenStax, under CC by 4. 0 license. The geographic distribution of this population is worth noting. There are over 8 million Asian people living in the western region of the country. This is nearly half the entire Asian population. Plus, almost 1/3 of Asian consumers live in California alone, making Asians one of the state's largest population segments. The southern states have the second largest Asian population with 5.3 million individuals. Overall, Asian people are projected to be the largest source of immigrants by 2055, accounting for 36% of all immigration, followed by Hispanic people at 34%. 57. As an immigrant group, Asian people have the fastest adoption rate of the English language. Almost 75% of Asian households speak English, and nearly two-thirds of American-born Asians speak English only. Asian people are also more likely than the average American household to live in a multi-generational setting. 58. Because of their diversity and unique characteristics, it is difficult to narrow it down to a uniform Asian identity. This poses a challenge for marketers. Creating generalized messages for Asian people or having a one-size-fits-all marketing approach is unwise. Plus, making assumptions about consumers' purchasing behaviors as a singular market can be very tricky, if not inadvisable, because there is not a sole Asian cultural identity. A 2019 survey about race found that 56% of Asian people said race was a key part of their identity. 59. Using this insight, Nike created two different, but very effective, commercials targeting different subsegments of Asian consumers. Nike's The Great Chase is inspired by the longtime Chinese tradition of gifting money in little red envelopes. Link to learning. Nike. Check out the Great Chase commercial and compare it to the upbeat Da-da-ding commercial featuring Indian women practicing many types of sports. The acculturation spectrum. People who immigrate to the United States from another country will probably experience some personal level of acculturation. Even American-born multicultural individuals whose families speak another language at home besides English may also experience acculturation. Acculturation is the process by which a person's family cultural patterns change because of direct and constant contact with a different culture. 60. Acculturation can happen in various degrees. The spectrum ranges from complete adoption to total rejection of the new culture. Individuals that simultaneously merge both cultures in daily life are considered bicultural. Hispanic and Asian consumers can experience various degrees of acculturation. This depends on birthplace, immigration status, community connections, and personal comfort level. For instance, a person born in the United States to immigrant parents is more likely to be acculturated than unacculturated. For marketers, being aware of acculturation levels is important because they play a significant role in how these multicultural consumers respond to marketing messages. Here is another example. Hispanic people in general think of language as a tool to preserve the culture. As a result, unacculturated Hispanic consumers are more likely than acculturated consumers to support a brand that advertises to them in the Spanish language. This effort is seen as a sign of respect and appreciation. 61. Identity connecting characteristics and factors. The Hispanic, Black, and Asian populations each have a general set of cultural characteristics based on their multicultural identities. Being aware of each segment's personal characteristics helps marketers create effective marketing promotions and advertisements. In addition to internal characteristics, these consumers are also influenced by external factors such as social circumstances and market behaviors. Let's explore characteristics and factors in more detail. Hispanic consumers. Hispanic consumers in general are optimistic, family-oriented, warm-hearted, and hospitable. 62. The culture's energy and liveliness are visible through elements like music, food, decor, and language. Hispanic people place a high value on relationships and social interactions. Have you noticed that some commercials aimed at Hispanic consumers show people in close proximity, touching, or hugging? Physical contact is important to this multicultural segment. It is seen as a way to build trust and group harmony. Did you notice it in Target's Sabra Mesa commercial? Hispanic consumers support brands that demonstrate cultural authenticity, transparency, and honesty. After all, openness and having meaningful connections are at the heart of these consumers' values. In terms of factors, the concept of product quality and service quality is deeply desirable to Hispanic consumers. Have you heard of Hispanic actress Jessica Alba? Alba, who is of Mexican descent, founded the Honest Company, see Figure 8. 16. In 2012, with the mission of formulating safe, high-quality personal and beauty products for the family. Other factors that influence Hispanic consumers include companies' pledges to sustainability and social responsibility. Indeed, these are growing concerns that shape this community's purchasing behaviors. Baby wipes, healing balm, face body lotion, and multi-surface cleaner from Jessica Alba's Honest Company are arranged on a blanket. Figure 8. 16 Hispanic consumers support products that demonstrate the qualities that are important to them: optimistic, family-oriented, warm-hearted, and hospitable, which is why the Honest Company's message of safe products for the family resonates. Credit: a few of my favorite F-Hings. Honest Company by Abby Porter/Flickr, CC by 20. Black consumers. 2 noteworthy characteristics of Black consumers in general are determination and self-expression. As you read earlier in the chapter, race is a key component of the Black identity. The social, educational, and economic struggles that Black people have faced because of racial discrimination and injustice have made these consumers highly determined to pursue their dreams regardless of the obstacles encountered. Self-expression is also a significant cultural trait. It is a way to show personal pride in one's identity. Among Black consumers, self-expression is typically conveyed through fashion, music, sports, and the arts. Like Hispanic consumers, Black people are optimistic and resilient. Strong community bonds, observance of religious practices, and deep commitments to social activism are factors closely linked to Black consumers' identities. The opportunity to raise a collective voice about key issues is a fueling factor too. In 2020, Beats by Dre launched the You Love Me campaign, see Figure 817. Different beats by Dr. Dre products are shown in a store display. Figure 8. 17 Beats Electronics, founded by Black rapper Dr. Dre, launched its You Love Me campaign in 2020. Credit: Beats by Dr. Dre by Mike Mozart, Jeepers Media/Flickr, CC by 20. Link to learning. Beats by Dr. Dre. Beats is a leading manufacturer of audio products, co-founded by Black rapper Dr. Dre. The 2-minute commercial plays on the audio pun and challenges viewers to emotionally listen by asking the question, "You love Black culture, but do you love me?" Asian consumers. Asian cultures are steeped in rich traditions and customs. Asian consumers are very proud of their heritage, and at the same time, they identify well with the American culture. Asian people share this cultural duality characteristic with Hispanic people. Cultural duality is not the same thing as acculturation. Cultural duality happens when an individual's cultures overlap with each other and the person feels a sense of belonging to both simultaneously. Did you know that almost 50% of Asian consumers in the United States watch TV in both English and in an Asian language? 63. This helps them stay current with American culture while keeping connected with their native culture. Shared societal values are a trait that influence people's behaviors. One of these is collectivism. Think about Hofstede's cultural dimensions, individualism versus collectivism in particular. Collectivism places more emphasis on group activities than on individual ones. Overall, Asian societies are collectivistic, though the degree of collectivism varies among the populations, countries of origin. 64 cultural celebrations are also a factor linked to identity. Instacart, Target, Wells Fargo, and Toyota are just a few companies marketing to Asian consumers in the United States using traditional festivities like Diwali and Lunar New Year to appeal to the group's collectivism. Link to learning. Asian celebrations. 2 examples posted on social media platforms are Wells Fargo's Happy Lunar New Year on Instagram and Toyota's Diwali tweet on Twitter. Marketing to Hispanic, Black, and Asian consumers. As you have seen, marketing to each of these multicultural segments is unique. Marketers must do the research and understand the demographics, cultures, identities, and group characteristics of these targeted consumers. It is also equally important to recognize that none of these elements are static. They are dynamic and interact with one another. Being successful with multicultural marketing and ultimately with diversity marketing includes many factors. Success also requires connecting with each consumer segment on a personal and intimate level. This inevitably means that marketers must recognize the similarities and differences between the cultural identities that shape daily life experiences in the United States. In the upcoming decades, the meaning of the terms minority and majority segments are going to wane in significance. Groups that have been historically classified as the minority market are going to grow, while the group historically classified as the majority is going to shrink in size. This is setting the stage for a future of a plurality nation, further emphasizing the importance of multicultural trends and diversity marketing. Knowledge check. It's time to check your knowledge on the concepts presented in this section. Refer to the answer key at the end of the book for feedback. 1. Which of the following is the largest segment of multicultural consumers in the United States? Asian population, Black population, Hispanic population, Native American, and Alaskan Native population. 2. Which ethnic term can be used for a person from Puerto Rico or of Puerto Rican descent? Only Hispanic, both Hispanic and Latino-Latina, only Latino-Latina. None of these terms are correct. 3. Acculturation is the process by which a person's family cultural patterns change because of direct and constant contact with their home culture. A different culture, many cultures simultaneously, a high degree of global travel. 4. When it comes to cultural identity, which of the following do the overwhelming majority of Black people believe is a major contributor and attribute? Cultural duality and relationships, education and income level, immigration status and conventionality, race and community. 5. Effectively marketing to Hispanic, Black, and Asian consumers requires with each multicultural demographic and understanding. Connecting, segmentation, surveying, advertising, using influencers, social media, using culturally relevant idioms, fun advertising. Learning outcomes. By the end of this section, you will be able to 1. Define socio-demographic marketing. 2. Explain how to market to the LGBTQIA+ community. 3. Explain how to market based on generational differences. 4. Explain how to market to consumers with disabilities. 5. Describe how socio-demographic trends will impact future marketing. Socio-demographic marketing, as defined earlier in the chapter, socio-demographics is the combination of two distinct factors, social and demographic, within a given population. This combination results in a set of quantifiable variables for narrowing down customers in a large market. Social variables can be quite literally anything with which people identify. In other words, social variables are associated with identity. Because of that, they can include racial and ethnic identities too. Social variables are broad and can feel loosely defined. However, it is this unstructured nature that often provides important insights for marketers. Demographic variables, on the other hand, are more specific or have precise descriptions. These include things like gender, age or generation, religion, marital status, income, employment, education, political affiliation, disability, and more. As you have already read, socio-demographic marketing is a subcategory of diversity marketing. Refer back to Figure 8. 4. It intentionally targets certain audiences with attractive advertising and promotions based on shared social and demographic variables. Overlaying these two factors has several worthwhile benefits for marketers. One of them, for instance, is that it makes it easier to detect market trends and shopping patterns based on a large number of consumers with variables in common. Such findings are indispensable for marketers to gauge the financial and emotional impact of their marketing efforts. Another benefit is that socio-demographic marketing creates valuable opportunities for reaching historically underrepresented individuals or underserved communities. This outreach is significant because it demonstrates companies' commitments toward a more diverse and inclusive market. Socio-demographic marketing also enables marketers to adapt products, services, and messaging to be more effective for both businesses and consumers. Marketing to the LGBTQIA+ community. The LGBTQIA+ population is composed of consumers who express a diversity of gender identities, preferences, and sexual orientations. The acronym stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer questioning, intersex, and asexual. The plus sign, plus, represents other sexual identities as well as allies who are not LGBTQIA+ members but support the community's cause. The acronym has evolved over the decades to become more inclusive and capture diverse relationships, expressions, and identities. The LGBTQIA+ community in the United States is growing. In 2012, only 3.5% of Americans self-identified as LGBTQIA+. American analytics company Gallup shows this number increasing to 5.6% in 2020. See Figure 818. Did you know that 1 in 6 adults in Generation Z, born between 1997 and 2012, identifies as LGBTQIA+? 65, this indicates a growth trend reaching towards 16% in the future as other generations age out. A bar graph shows the percentage of the population who identifies as LGBTQIA+ from 2012 through 2021. The data is as follows: 2012, 3.5%, 2013, 3.6%, 2014, 3.7%, 2015, 3.9%, 2016, 4%, 2017, 4.2%, 2018, no data, 2019, no data, 2025, 6%, and 2021, 7.1%. Figure 8. 18 Americans, self-identification as LGBTQIA+ data source. Gallup survey data not available for 2018-2019. Attribution copyright Rice University, OpenStax, under CC by 40 license. You might be wondering what is driving this growth. Some of it is attributed to greater confidence in both societal acceptance and in the ability to find support within the LGBTQIA+ community itself. Sociologists and psychologists have known for a long time that a sense of belonging, whether to a family or a social group, is essential for normal and optimal human functioning. Therefore, the growth of the LGBTQIA+ community is also partly the result of this human need to belong. Plus, it is driven by a political and sociological need to be represented and treated fairly as well. For marketers, focusing on the societal experience around belonging, acceptance, welcoming, support, and inclusion is key for reaching the growing number of LGBTQIA+ consumers. Global furniture giant IKEA, see Figure 819, understands this very well. In 2021, IKEA promoted the Progress Made campaign in the United States during the entire month of June. The campaign featured rainbow-themed products like carrying bags and an audio speaker cover. IKEA donated up to $50,000 in proceeds from these limited edition products to LGBTQIA+ nonprofit organization GLSEN. In Canada, IKEA displayed at select stores 10 different love seats as concept art inspired by Pride flags to increase its support for inclusion during Pride Month. An IKEA showroom shows a couch, 2 round tables with chairs, and a bookshelf. Figure 8. 19 IKEA's Progress Made campaign in the United States focused on the societal experience of belonging for LGBTQ+ consumers. Credit, IKEA by Rob Oliver /Flickr. CC by 2, link to learning IKEA love seats. Learn more about the IKEA love seat collection and see the designs by reading these articles. Insider Newswire NBC News Muse by Cleo. What can marketers do to be more successful in advertising to LGBTQIA+ consumers? Consider the following steps. First, review the company's values and have an open and honest conversation with leadership about authentic support of the LGBTQIA+ community. After all, genuine care and inclusiveness are the base for all marketing efforts. Second, establish guidelines on how to speak with and about the LGBTQIA+ community. This means the words, tone, imagery, and core messaging of marketing communications. Third, find experts to provide advice and insights into the community. This reduces the possibility of unknowingly offending this consumer segment. Plus, using group members for brainstorming and evaluation is extremely helpful too. Fourth, test and verify that products, services, and messaging are perceived as designed. Marketing to the generation's age is a frequently used demographic statistic for segmenting populations. Age is also expressed or compared in terms of generational groups. This approach enables marketers to capture a larger number of consumers by grouping them into defined categories. You read earlier in the chapter about these categories: silent generation, baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, Generation Z, and Generation Alpha. Figure 8:20 shows these generations based on their percentage among the American population. Think about this. A member of Generation Alpha, people born between 2010 and 2025, is born every 9 seconds in the United States. This generation is expected to account for 2 billion individuals worldwide by 2025. 66 grouping consumers into generational segments helps maximize marketing efforts and reach a larger portion of the total market. A pie chart shows the distribution of generations in the United States. The chart shows the following breakdown of the U.S. population. Greatest generation, born before 1928, 4%. The silent generation, born between 1928 and 1945, 6%. The baby boomer generation, born between 1946 and 1964, 21.6%. Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980, 19.9%. The millennial generation, born between 1981 and 1996, 22.1%. Generation Z, born between 1997 and 2009, 25%, and Generation Alpha, born between 2010 and 2025, 8.4%. Figure 8:20 distribution of generations in the United States, data source. Statista, attribution, copyright Rice University, OpenStax under CC by 4.0 license. It is crucial for marketers to keep in mind that each generation has unique life experiences built on social, economic, and political dynamics associated with their formative years. These experiences influence each generation's views and values, which subsequently impact their behaviors as consumers. Let's consider Generation Z and Generation Alpha again. Members of both generations are highly technologically literate. They have also been directly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic's aftermath in terms of remote learning and reduced face-to-face interactions. Consequently, this lockdown generation has spent more time engaged with social media and virtual environments. Marketers need to consider how such situations will influence these generations, shopping behaviors, and consumption patterns. There are many factors that can be combined with a generational view of consumers. One of the more useful for marketers to keep in mind is economic influence. Figure 8:21 shows the wealth distribution by generation in the United States as of 2020. This chart tells a significant story. Until 2008, the silent generation and earlier generations controlled a relatively equal amount of wealth. Two primary factors gradually shrunk the amount of wealth of these consumers: natural mortality and the 2008 recession. Conversely, the wealth of baby boomers grew. In fact, many have said that the boomer generation is the wealthiest generation to have ever lived. Generation X's wealth started to grow in 2015, but the ability of this generation to build riches has slowed down compared to preceding generations. Millennials' wealth building appears to be even slower. See Figure 8:22. A chart shows wealth distribution by generation in trillions of dollars. The chart starts in 1990 and ends in 2020. At the beginning of the chart, less than $25 trillion of wealth is shown. Most of that is controlled by the silent and earlier generations, with the baby boomers having some of the wealth. Baby boomer wealth continues to grow throughout, while the silent and earlier generations' percentage stays about the same until after 2015. Gen X first appears on the chart just before 2000, and millennials appear just before 2015. By 2020, there is almost $150 trillion in wealth shown. Baby boomers control most of this. Gen X has the second highest amount, and millennials and the silent generation each have a small amount of this wealth. Figure 8:21 wealth distribution by generation, data source. Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System / Federal Reserve. Gov, Survey of Consumer Finances and Financial Accounts. Attribution. Copyright Rice University, OpenStax, under CC by 4.0 license. What does this mean? Wealth and income level play a role in people's spending decisions, so marketers need to understand how it is shaped by generational groups. Here are some steps to consider to be more successful in advertising to consumers based on their generations. First, use deeper and more extensive combinations of socio-demographic variables. Grouping by generation alone is likely not enough. Adding another variable such as income, education, or social markers may prove useful. Second, use focus groups and individuals who fit the target group to provide direct input and ideas. Third, consider adapting the marketing communication to fit the norms of each generation. Fourth, test and verify that products, services, and messaging are perceived as designed. Marketing to consumers with disabilities, Americans with disabilities make up a much larger segment of the market than you might realize. There are approximately 61 million Americans with disabilities. That number is over 18% of the total population of the United States. When the word disability is used, many people usually visualize a mobility difficulty, like having trouble walking or climbing stairs. However, as seen in Figure 822, functional mobility makes up less than a third of the different types of disabilities. Other forms include cognitive or neurological, autonomous living, and sensory-related. This makes consumers with disabilities a very diverse group too. A bar graph shows the percentage of U.S. adults with a functional disability, grouped by type of disability. 13.7% have a mobility disability, defined as serious difficulty walking or climbing stairs. 10.8% have a cognition disability, defined as serious difficulty concentrating, remembering, or making decisions. 6.8% have an independent living disability, defined as difficulty doing errands alone. 5.9% have a hearing disability, defined as deafness or serious difficulty hearing. 4.6% have a vision disability, defined as blindness or serious difficulty seeing. 3.7% have a self-care disability, defined as difficulty dressing or bathing. Figure 8. 22% of adults with a functional disability. Credit. Percentage of adults with functional disabilities by Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention CDC. Gov. Public domain. Disability is more frequent in adults over the age of 65 and in women. Among racial and ethnic segments, it is more common in non-Hispanic, Native American, and Alaskan Native people. Adults living with a disability are also more likely to be obese, smoke, have heart disease, and have diabetes. 67. While disabilities are very often important and impactful aspects of people's lives, people with disabilities have many defining characteristics, goals, needs, and identities. How can marketers best reach consumers with disabilities? By using an approach that ensures the company's efforts express humanity, authenticity, and inclusivity. Let's look at a couple of examples. In January 2019, a picture from a bridal boutique's window display went viral due to its powerful inclusivity message. The display showed a mannequin in a wheelchair dressed in a wedding gown. In February 2022, Hispanic model Sofia Juro made history as the first person with Down syndrome to become a model for Victoria's Secret. These examples demonstrate that people with disabilities are not only part of our social fabric, but also are an integral part of the overall market. Other suggestions for marketers consist of ensuring that disabilities are properly represented. This means consulting or hiring individuals who have a disability rather than using actors or models who do not. Marketers also need to keep in mind how disabilities affect marketing communications. In other words, think about closed captioning on videos or the use of alternative text on images for websites. The types of disabilities are diverse, so marketing initiatives have to be diverse as well. That is what makes socio-demographic marketing a subset of diversity marketing. Developing socio-demographic trends and their future impact, discovering socio-demographic trends takes an enormous amount of study. To do an effective job, marketing researchers are constantly working with a multitude of variables. They set parameters, collect data, analyze it, and come up with ideas based on results. This work is done repeatedly over time. It is precisely the extended time frame that enables marketing researchers to see market patterns surface. let's check out some current trends that will have a future impact for companies and marketers in general. Population stagnation. The population has been growing around the world at historically unprecedented rates for many years now. Yet, there are several sources claiming that it will decline globally around the middle of the 21st century. 68. The United States has already been in a relatively steady population growth decline, or population stagnation, according to trends from the U.S. Census Bureau. In fact, the American growth rate has slowed to its lowest point in over 120 years. If this trend continues, the United States will see its first net population decrease in the next couple of years. 69. Marketers need to consider the socio-demographic factors that are contributing to this trend: births, deaths, and international migration. No doubt COVID-19 has impacted the death rate, which was already being fueled by the growth deceleration from years earlier. Figure 8.23 illustrates the population changes in the United States through 2021 based on some of these factors. The rapid percent change in 2020 and 2021 is probably due to the pandemic's effect. A line graph illustrates the population change and the components of that change during the years 2001 through 2021. Between 2001 and 2021, the population declined approximately 9%. A sharp decline can be seen beginning in 2016, with an ever steeper decline in 2020. Births remained relatively flat, starting at about 4 million. In 2008, there were about 4 million births. A small, steady decline begins after that. By 2021, births were at about 39 million. Deaths remain flat at 26 million between 2001 and 2012. Deaths begin gradually rising after that. In 2021, there were just under 35 million deaths. International migration is approximately 12 million in 2001, declining to 75 million in 2003. In 2015 and 2016, international migration reaches 1 million before declining. By 2021, international migration is approximately 2 million. Figure 8.23 population change and the components of change. 2001-2021 data source: United States Census Bureau Census. Gov. Attribution: Copyright Rice University, OpenStax, under CC by 40 license. Consumer spending dominated by baby boomers. While this is not a new trend, it is certainly one that will continue through the 2030s as the baby boomer population ages out. The American Association for Retired Persons, AARP, reports that American workers over 65 years of age have a median income of $78,000 per year, while workers under age 65 have a median income that is only $55,000. 70. Keep in mind that this statistic is about individuals who are actively working, meaning not yet retired. Couple it with the wealth accumulation information you read about earlier. The baby boomer population certainly exerts outsized economic and purchasing influence, making this an important current and future market segment. Understanding socio-demographic trends, such as population growth and decline, as well as market consumption, based on generational groups, is crucial for marketers to create relevant and effective marketing campaigns in the growing age of marketplace diversity. Knowledge check: it's time to check your knowledge on the concepts presented in this section. Refer to the answer key at the end of the book for feedback. 1. Socio-demographic marketing is a subcategory of diversity marketing, and it targets audiences based on psychological distinguishing factors, political affiliation, geographical and governmental boundaries, shared social and demographic variables too. Which of the following is a key marketing approach for reaching the LGBTQIA+ audience? Focus on the societal experience around belonging. Build empirical value differences in products and services. Compare mainstream market adoption levels for new technology. Use a personal argument as a persuasive purchasing strategy. 3. Which of the following is a useful step to improve a marketer's ability to reach a generational target audience? Use deeper and more extensive combinations of socio-demographic variables. Add variables such as income, education, or social markers. Use focus groups to provide direct input and deeper insights and ideas. All of these are useful steps. 4. When marketing specifically to consumers with disabilities, you can express inclusivity in advertising by using all individuals, even those who do not have a disability, impersonal and abstract images, individuals who have a disability, only non-visual advertising media. 5. Which of the following is an emerging socio-demographic trend that will impact future marketing? Rapid population growth in the United States, consumer spending, dominated by baby boomers' redistribution of economic wealth, hemispherical global migration, caused by global warming. Learning outcomes. By the end of this section, you will be able to 1. Identify the ethical issues related to diversity marketing. 2. Discuss how to address different consumer values to reduce issues in marketing. Ethical considerations in marketing. The issues related to business ethics reside within society's definitions and standards. Like with many topics, what is considered ethical business behavior or an accepted practice today can change tomorrow based on context. In other words, business ethics do not remain fixed. Ethical standards transform and adapt in conjunction with changes in the business environment. Consider the following scenario. Let's say you are visiting the doctor for your annual checkup. How would you feel if the doctor walked into the exam room smoking a cigarette? Most people would have a negative reaction to this. In most places in the United States, it is against city ordinances to smoke indoors in public places unless it is a designated smoking area. These ordinances are enforced because the government recognizes that smoking is a health hazard. If your doctor walked into the exam room with a cigarette, it would pose several ethical concerns. However, did you know that until the 1950s, doctors approved of smoking and even appeared in cigarette ads? By the mid-1960s, the medical field developed clarity around the hazards of smoking, and norms were changed in society and in advertising. Figure 8.24 shows an advertisement making this point. An ad shows the back of a football player in uniform. In his left hand, he is holding a football helmet and a notebook. In his right hand, he is holding a lit cigarette. The copy on the ad says, "You're bright enough to learn 40 different football plays. And you're still smoking?" Figure 8.24 Evolving ethical standards impact marketing campaigns by requiring companies to transform their messages to meet new societal norms, as exemplified by modern anti-smoking advertisements. Credit, "You're bright enough to learn 40 different football plays" by NIH National Library of Medicine, CDC/NLM. Gov. Public Domain 10. Where do business ethics come from? Ethics originate from the need and desire to promote both fair and equitable competition in the market. Ethics are supported by legislation such as the Sherman Antitrust Act from the U.S. Department of Justice. Ethical considerations in diversity marketing have a similar background. They are linked to companies' fair and equitable outreach and representation of diverse audiences in the market. These include multicultural and socio-demographic consumer segments in particular. Business ethics shape companies' and employees' work behaviors, corporate activities, and marketing efforts. This implies that ethics are inseparable from a company's brand. Why? Because a brand is essentially what a business stands for and what it represents. Consumers associate certain characteristics and traits with a company's brand. These expectations, in turn, influence purchasing actions. For this reason, marketers need to take great care in creating an accurate reflection of the company's ethics that are also culturally and socially sound. Ethics are often contextual, so it is important to recognize that values and behaviors vary by culture, identity, and other demographic variables. This means it is imperative to truly understand targeted segments as thoroughly as possible. It is common for marketers to research things like buying patterns, consumption sentiment, desired features, and media efficacy. However, to succeed in a diverse marketplace, research must extend deeper. It needs to be ethically based on target segments, cultural sensitivities, and social issues. Economic fairness, political viewpoints, differences in technological access, legal protections, and environmental risks should also be considered in ethical marketing research. Ethical issues in diversity marketing. One of marketing's primary functions is to reflect an organization's business ethics and values to the marketplace and to consumers. This must be done in an active and intentional manner. Marketers have a responsibility to ensure that efforts and communications are honest, balanced, and authentic to the company and to the marketing profession. Creating awareness of cultural and social issues that impact ethical practices is also a key function of diversity marketing. Cultural and social values, how messages are perceived and decoded in advertising, is the most publicly visible representation of a company's ethics, values, and overall business culture. Marketers need to ensure that advertising campaigns do not reinforce harmful stereotypes and unconscious biases. This is not easy to do because, after all, cultural and social beliefs are deeply seated. This explains why some biases are unconscious. Stereotypes and unconscious biases are evident in every facet of life. In fact, everybody has them. Cultural stereotypes and social biases are common in advertising. Let's explore some situations. Asian people share many cultural values and characteristics. As you have read, the Asian population in the United States is comprised of 22 different countries of origin. Red is considered a lucky color by most Asian people. When advertising to Chinese consumers, it is typical to see the color red used prominently. However, assuming that all Asian consumers feel the same about this color is stereotyping. For Japanese people, green symbolizes youth and vital energy. Yellow is associated with vitality and light for Korean people. 71. You may have seen ads that suggest that only boys or men play football, or maybe that only girls and women cook. These types of ads perpetuate gender stereotypes. That's why campaigns like Procter & Gamble's groundbreaking 2014 Like a Girl campaign challenged people's stereotypes with its ads about what it means to do things as a female. Here is yet another example. Radio advertisers could ignore baby boomers in favor of millennials and Generation Z consumers. This bias is driven by the incorrect assumption that baby boomers are not active radio listeners, which is not true. Stereotypes and biases can cost companies a lot of money in negative publicity and lost opportunities. From an ethical perspective, biases can have unintended discriminatory results among diverse consumer segments. Diversity representation diversity marketing is about reaching a larger portion of the total market by including diverse population segments such as multicultural and socio-demographic audiences. Representation matters for a growing number of consumers. While trying to be inclusive, marketers need to steer clear of tokenism. Tokenism happens when an individual from either a minority group or an underrepresented community is included in ads or marketing communications to prevent criticism. Tokenism is a symbolic act that gives the appearance of representation. However, it is not a genuine desire to portray consumer diversity. When it comes to ethical considerations, such as advertisements' diversity balance, the focus is on ensuring positive associations. This inclusive balance is not limited to just people. It also applies to terms, phrases, and other forms of communication. For instance, the misuse of words or incorrect translations can inadvertently convey a lack of sensitivity to multicultural or socio-demographic consumers. Marketers may offend without intending to do so. As an example, as you read earlier in the chapter, some terms can be disliked by ethnic consumers. Marketers need to intentionally consider every characteristic, factor, and set of values that shape diversity and inclusivity. These need to be weighed against the perceptions of each consumer segment. Doing a thorough job of research, design, and review goes a long way to ensuring a fair and equitable representation of all consumer segments. Companies with a conscience, culturally sensitive, and socially inclusive marketing multinational industry leaders like Coca-Cola, Google, Adidas, Unilever, AT&T, Marriott International, and Microsoft are just a few of the companies that, like P&G, are focusing their marketing efforts on being more culturally sensitive and socially inclusive. Even niche players, partnerships, and private companies such as Bumble, Fenty Beauty, and Third Love are also championing diversity as a core value through equal cultural and socio-demographic representation, rather than just chasing a trend in marketing. 72. Consider Coca-Cola's long history of advertisements and promotions, for example. In the early 1970s, Coca-Cola released the Hilltop commercial, also known as "I'd Like to Buy the World a Coke," which showed people from different races and cultures bonding over the beverage. In 2011, the company launched the groundbreaking campaign, "Share a Coke," in Australia to connect with consumers in a personal way while influencing product purchases. The campaign went viral and became a global success. 73, for the 2014 Super Bowl and the Winter Olympics in Sochi, Russia, Coca-Cola launched the "America is Beautiful" campaign. 74, recognizing the growth of multicultural consumers in the United States, the campaign's commercial featured 7 young bilingual American women singing in different languages. It also showed culturally diverse consumers from all walks of life. Although the campaign was subject to severe criticism and sparked outrage and boycotts by some people, Coca-Cola was applauded by others for its commitment to a more inclusive marketing communication. That is what diversity marketing is all about.